this is a plan for the whole community, including the private sector, who provide venues and opportunities for people to participate. Council's not the only player, pun intended. Before I hand over to our keynote speaker, I'd like to thank all those business owners, the government agencies, the state and local sporting bodies and the local club volunteers who've already provided input into the draft plan. Over 400 people so far have had their say to create the document that we're launching tonight. And I'd also like to thank Council's very dedicated and always enthusiastic community services staff who are dotted around the room. Thanks very much to NOOSA Springs Resort, who kindly waived the venue hire for tonight's event. And thanks to the Queensland Department of National Parks, Sport and Racing for helping bring our keynote speaker to entertain us tonight. So let me introduce our keynote speaker, Wayne Goldsmith. He's one of the most experienced and effective sports performance consultants in the world. He's helped many athletes, coaches, teams and organisations to reach their full potential. Wayne's list of clients included the Wallabies, the Brumbies, the Sydney Roosters, the West Tigers, the Brisbane Lions, the Wagga Wagga Slugs, I made that one up, and lots of other anthropomorphic members of the animal kingdom. He's also assisted Tennis Australia, Racing Victoria, the Australian Triathlon team, the Australian Swimming team, Diving Australia, and corporate leaders from LJ Hooker, Macquarie Bank to MLC. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big rousing NOOSA welcome to Wayne Goldsmith.
Thank you very much. I'd ask you now to be upstanding. Would you please rise? I think it's appropriate at this occasion that we pay our respects to the death of competitive sport. Sport's been with us for a long, long time. The Modern Olympics 1896, and since then, sport's been part of our lives, not just in Australia, but around the world. But now, tonight, I think it's appropriate we all stand together as people involved, as private providers and coaches and athletes and people who have various capacities in sport, to just pause for a minute and reflect on the fact that it's over. Competitive sport, the way we've done it for 120 years, is dead. It's gone. And it's time that things had changed. Will you please be seated? I can't put it any simpler than that. Competitive sport, the way we have done it, is dead. And I'd like to say to you that it's a NOOSA problem, and it's something that only you're experiencing, and that the issues you're seeing within your club and your district association, that you're seeing in your sport, have got something to do with the petty, ridiculous political fights where you hate this club and hate that club because someone did something to somebody else, or someone wore the wrong pair of socks 15 years ago in the athletics carnival, and then you won't let them use your lanes and you won't ever let them use any of your facilities because you don't like the colour of their hair. That is gone. Those days are over. The issues are far bigger now. Not only that, we're seeing such a tumultuous change in the sporting industry. People think, oh, well, look, it only affects us. It only affects NOOSA Netball Club, and he doesn't understand us and he doesn't understand NOOSA Netball, therefore, why am I listening? This is a global issue. It's bigger than you even realise, as I'm going to try and convince you of tonight. So we're going to talk about how all of us have had our heads in the sand. We knew this was coming. Some of us really knew this was coming. These days that are happening right now, I think we suspected it was coming. But as always, we put it off. Most people don't change until it's too late, until it's almost too late. And for some people, particularly in rural and regional areas, it is too late. And their sport, their club and their district association is going to die. And there's nothing anyone can do to bring it back. It's over. It's changed. And it's hard to take, because when you go to rural and regional areas, and I've just come back from 3 months around rural and regional Queensland, when you go to Emerald and you go into the Emerald Rugby League Club, it's more than rugby league. When you go in there and you see Davo sit up against the bar, the same place in the bar all the time, and he's had an awful day, Davo. And he's got out of bed and he's tripped over the cat, the cat's died. He goes out to have a cup of coffee and the coffee's cold. His wife says she doesn't like him. He goes to work and he hates his job. Awful bloody job. Car stalls on the way home. He gets out of the car, it's been raining, he's got no raincoat. He's had the worst day you can possibly imagine. Everything's gone to shit. And he goes to the footy club and he walks in. The guy behind the bar says, "Davo, mate! Great to see you, buddy." And all of a sudden his day's good. "Davo, sit here and I'll pour you one of the usual, mate. Tell us about the time you scored the grand final in the 73 grand final that won us the title." I love that story. And they all come around him, all these mates that love him so much. And who he is and his identity is so much tied up in that club. He doesn't want it to change. The reason he loves that club and the reason he loves that sport so much is the fact that it doesn't change and it doesn't evolve because it's so much representative of who he is and his identity. And I feel sorry for the Davos and the Deirdres and the Marjories and the Susies and the people that are running clubs all around Australia and around the world because they're facing challenges that they've never faced before. Let's see if we can help them. What you're seeing is a global issue. In the last 3-4 months, I've been to these countries. Unfortunately, I go to New Zealand way too much. They make fun of my accent. Remind me about the Wallabies on more than one occasion. Everyone from the guy who checks you in at the airport to taxi drivers and everybody in between reminds you what a great rugby team they've got. They do some really good things. But it's really shocked me. We know, for example, in New Zealand, where you sit and you just marvel, and this hurts, marvel at the performance of the All Blacks. 22% decline in the number of kids playing club rugby in New Zealand. You probably knew it here, and you thought, "Oh mate, that's only just happening in South East Queensland." 22% in the greatest rugby nation on earth. They have a 90% winning record or close to it over 100 years. 22% decline in the number of kids playing club rugby in New Zealand. I've just come back from the World and Union Conference in Massey University, Palmerston North, and a guy got up from Ottawa and he talked about Canadian sports statistics and he said, "You won't believe it. You won't believe it. But the number of kids playing ice hockey at club level in Canada has dropped by almost 30% in the last 10 years. It's not just happening to you. It's not just happening here. And it's not just happening in Australia. The issues that we're experiencing, where we're seeing an incredible decline in the number of people committing to playing competitive sport in clubs, is phenomenal. And it is global. And if you want more evidence, go to this report, www.ozsport, which is the Australian Government's portal, and there are others, ozsport.gov.au. Go there and have a look at the Oz Player Report. The Oz Player Report. It came out in December last year. Really interesting survey the Australian Government put together, being published and released through the Sports Commission's website. And there's a great phrase in there which should terrify and maybe excite all of us at the same time, which says, "The delivery of Australian sport is no longer driven through the club system. It is apparent that sport is about communities, connecting with communities and providing sport a different way to the way Australians have historically and traditionally delivered sport." The Australian Government, the funding agency, who's supposed to be providing strategic direction for sport across the country, says in black and white on their site, looking at the research, looking at the data, looking at the figures, sport is being delivered a different way. So how are people dealing with it? Let's go through it for a minute. Let's go through it. Cricket Australia, 4 or 5 years ago, realised they're in trouble. No one is playing 5-day games. 50 overs aside, even that's starting to wane a little bit. Everyone's interested in the pyjama cricket and the 20 overs aside and kicking it and flicking it and doing all the other things they do. That's what they're really passionate about. And Cricket Australia do something really remarkable. They go out to their clients and they say to them, "What do you want? Why aren't you playing cricket?" It's no point doing surveys amongst people that are already involved in your club because they love you anyway. They're there because they love doing what they're doing. You go to people that are not there and say, "Why aren't you coming anymore?" And the clients of Cricket Australia, so the parents and the kids, said to them very clearly, 10-year-olds can't bowl straight, they can't bowl 22 yards. My 10-year-old sits in the grandstand and waits for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players before them to get some runs before they get even a crack at it. And all they want to do is hit that living crap out of the ball and hit it over the fence, but the boundaries are too far back. So Cricket Australia start going out to the community and saying to people in the cricket community, so the old guard, the Chappells and all those great heroes of ours, what do you think? Mate, it's not cricket, it's not going to work, it's not what's happened, it's rubbish. Let's not do it. Cricket Australia do a bit more work, and at the moment in 25 centres around Australia, they're trialling cricket with wider bats, with shorter pitches, with narrower boundaries, and where you can sub kids in and out. Does that necessarily reflect in someone being able to play like Dave Warner, Ricky Ponting, Steve Ward, Don Bradman? We don't know. But the only kid who doesn't get better is the one who's not there. And if they're not coming in the way that we've been traditionally serving up cricket, who cares what it's going to look like further down the park if they're not there now? If we're not exciting them, we're not engaging them, we're not connecting with them, we're not providing them with an experience that has them getting in the car. When mum says, how was cricket today? They go, incredible! I love this game. Mum, I want to come back next week, which is the only measure that's important for us. Do they want to come back next week? Rugby League, the home of Rugby League, Sydney. The home of Rugby League. The numbers of kids playing Rugby League at club level in Sydney has dropped to the point where next year they have to integrate adjoining districts. Canterbury Bankstown, my beloved Bulldogs, have got to now be working with Balmain Tigers in junior rugby league. St George and Cronulla have got to come together. Can you believe it? Regions and districts that hate each other to a degree that makes the Palestinian-Israeli conflict look timid. Why do we do that? You know, why do we do that in sport? What's such a wonderful, positive thing, so horribly nasty, vindictive and political? Oh, it's a thing in sport that I've never understood. I've been in it for 30 years and I hate it. That petty, ridiculous, personality-based political squabbling that kills and hurts us. And thank God that's starting to go as well. But the New South Wales Rugby League know that they're in trouble. So they go to their clients and they say, how do we get you to come back? Why aren't you playing anymore? And there's issues around head injuries, mums and dads worried about a whole range of things. But the bottom line that comes out from the clients is, we're sick and tired of seeing 10-year-olds smash 10-year-olds. And the New South Wales Rugby League, even though they started discussing this 10 or 15 years ago, same as rugby union, they're going back to weight divisions next year in junior rugby league for that reason. And they've avoided it. Why? Because there's some particularly dangerous, if you like, racially sensitive potential for racial vilification issues around that topic. But now that they're desperate, finally they go, we've got to make some hard calls. We've got to do something to save the amazing game. And everyone's got reasons for why it's happening. AFL certainly takes a few. Finger sports takes a few. Apathy takes a few. I think coaching does a lot of it. I think awful, terrible, hideous, boring, dull coaching kills a lot of sport. Let's think about it for a moment. Just think a miracle happens. New South Wales beat the Maroons next year. It's going to take not just one religion, it's going to take all the major faiths all aligned at the same time to make that happen. And imagine New South Wales beat Queensland next year, game 3, in the most remarkable game of rugby league we've ever seen. 62-63. New South Wales get up. The most incredible, dynamic, brilliant, wonderful game. You've got kids all over the country who want to play rugby league. They just want to get out there and throw the ball, and they want to run, and they want to pass, and they want to kick, and they just can't imagine anything as wonderful as being involved in an incredible game. And they go down to the Mount Druitt Rugby League Club, and they're full of passion and glory and fight. I want to run, I want to play. And they walk in, and there's old Neville, the coach that's been there for 22 years, and he says, hey, you want to play the game, mate? They all talk like that for some reason. And Neville says, oh, you want to play the game, do you, mate? No problem. Off you go, 4 laps. And the kid's thinking, hang on, I came here because I was excited, I was inspired. I want to play the game, I want to run, I want to... Comes back, now you've got to stretch for 10 minutes. You ever seen a 10-year-old put a hamstring? Don't waste your time stretching. So they put them through stretching. Then they've got to learn how to run correctly. And they've got to have movement literacy and core stability. And then they've got to run drills, and they've got to run lines and defensive patterns. And right at the end of the 2-hour session, Neville says to the kid, let's have a quick game before you go home. Completely wrong. Completely wrong. Compare that to Football Federation Australia. A good mate of mine, Les B, says, let the game be their teacher. The game is their teacher. When kids turn up and they want to start playing, just let them play. And if they've got a skill deficit, stop them for a couple of minutes and let them try that, or teaching something for a minute or two. But the game flows. Let them play. They came to play. They want to play. Let them play, so we keep them coming. They're excited. They're passionate. They love what they're doing. We keep them connected to what we're doing. All these sports are struggling. All of them. Swimming, which has been close to my heart for a long, long time. My wife's a dual Commonwealth Games medalist in swimming from 1990. It's been our life. Swimming, decimated. Absolutely decimated. Around 40% decline in the number of kids doing competitive swimming now compared to where they were 10 or 15 years ago. Swimming is shattered. You're seeing some of it reflected at top level. That's a talk for another day. But swimming is in more trouble than anyone wants to admit. And people say, why? Why not? Imagine all the sports that are available are lined up on the supermarket shelves, and me as a sporting parent, someone who knows nothing about sport, I've got to buy a sporting product for my kid, because all Australian parents are sporting parents at some stage. And I'm pushing my trolley along, and I come along to the sport aisle, and up there's AFL, who do a lot of things very clever. So I go to AFL, I'm a sporting parent, I'm looking for a product to buy for my young child. And I pick that up and I go, $90 a term. The kids go there straight from school and the school oval, so I don't have to pick them up. I've got 4 kids. I don't have to pick them up. They give them a bottle of water and an apple or a banana. I don't have to feed them. It's just looking pretty good for me already. They get a ball, a leather ball, a backpack. We get 5 tickets to go and see the next Suns game, which is the way they're playing is not such a good thing, but we get them anyway. Posters and stickers. When I go down to watch training, instead of me being a leper and said, you stay over there, pay the bills and stay, which is the way we've treated parents for a long time, they get me on the field and teach me the skills so that when we play park footy or backyard footy, I know the skills. And even more importantly than me, they get my wife out there, because her association with the game is critical, because your association with the sport is far more powerful if you've played it than if you've been an observer. And I'm seeing mums down at Auskit taking off shoes after a day at work, getting out and learning to play the game, so that their relationship with the game is stronger, and the whole family is now connected to the game. They are very, very clever, and they don't do anything by accident. So I go, yep, I'll buy that one. Fantastic, great. I come along and the next box says swimming. And I go, oh, I like a bit of swimming, that sounds pretty good. So many Australians say to do, and I pick it up and I go, 10 sessions a week, 2 hours a session, out of bed 5 o'clock in the morning, competition 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. all day Saturday and Sunday. You get the same ribbons and medals at 15 that you got at 5 when you're 5. What are basketballs like? And swimming, gymnastics, rowing, the big time commitment, the grunt sports, the big time commitment Olympic sports have got it the worst. And those sports in rural and regional areas will die. Many of them will just die. So I want to talk about McDonald's. Wrong time of day to talk about, well, this is a pretty healthy group. I want to talk about McDonald's. I think McDonald's have taught us a lot. Not just how to get fat, but McDonald's have taught us a lot. So McDonald's started a long, long time ago, and if you want to read the books about Roy Kroc and all the different people came around, McDonald's started and then they spread. And I can tell you that a Big Mac tastes the same in Brisbane as it tastes in Beijing, it tastes in Greece, it tastes in New York City. I just, purely for academic purposes, I can tell you that it tastes the same everywhere you go. McDonald's spread and spread and spread until you could see them everywhere that you went. And for the first time for a while, McDonald's started to realise that their profits were declining. They went through a period of time, their bad period of time in the 80s, where they could see their profits were declining. And they did what everybody does. You know, when your programs, when your sports, when your businesses are not working, what's the first thing you do? You market. And you advertise, and you get out there, and McDonald's did it to us, you know. We had that old guy on TV and radio who said, McDonald's beef, sun-kissed by the glory of the Darling Downs and grains from the Riverina. And you felt un-Australian not to have McDonald's at that stage. And they did that around the world. They tried to make it New Zealand-ish to eat McDonald's. And they tried to make it German to eat McDonald's. They did the same campaign right around the world, and their profits still declined. And they couldn't come up with a way of turning around the failure of McDonald's to continue to produce great results. They did something that changed everything. They went to their clients, who were predominantly adults, and said, why won't you come to McDonald's? Why don't you continue to go to McDonald's? And they said, well, we'll eat burgers, but my kids won't eat burgers. They hate them. It's a shame you don't have anything for kids. And out of that comes this guy. Knowing full well that every time someone goes in to buy a Happy Meal, they've got to take mum and dad or carers or grandma or granddad or older brothers and sisters to go in, and their overall sales are significant. And their profits increase for a little while. After a period of time, same sort of thing happens. People go, oh, trans fats, high fructose corn syrup, high salt, high sugar, not for me. People become more aware of their health. And we start to say, well, look, I'll take my kids a couple of times a year for a birthday party, but I'm not going to eat your food. It's just a shame you don't have a coffee. I'm there Friday night, we're looking for a bit of a break from cooking. Man, if you had coffee, you've got me. Bang. The clients have showed them what they want, and they listen to their clients, and out of that we get McCafe. And not only, and this is important, this is critical, the golden arches are not going to change. So when I start talking about, I don't think we should ever talk about change really, just talk about getting better. But, because people love to get better, no one wants to change. But if you look at that, McDonald's here have said, we've listened to you, we've listened to you, we've listened to you, but we're still McDonald's. We're still basically selling burgers. The golden arches don't change because they're such a recognisable corporate symbol. Who they are and their core values as an organisation haven't changed. But they've been smart enough to listen to their clients to the point where they're adapting even that incredible, highly recognised image. They're still McDonald's, but they've said, we've listened to you and we've responded to your needs. We're giving you what you want. Look, we're with you. McDonald's, the most systemised company that you'd ever want. I used to work at McDonald's in Bankstown when I left school, or last year of school. I can still remember because of the routine. Someone would yell out, 6 Big Macs please. You go, 6 Big Macs, thank you. Anyone go through that? And I could pick up 2 handfuls of meat patties and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bang. And I can still do it. And my kids will say I'll try to do it at home when I'm cooking a barbie in the backyard. That's, and the regimentation of the systems and the systems that they had were remarkable. And I went in the one at Ashmore where I live on the Gold Coast the other week, and I said, can I have a look out the back? And apart from the technology, it hasn't changed. The way that they do things is still very much what I saw back in the 70s. But McDonald's have now adapted to the point where they've said, you come in and we will make you what you want. The company that defines systems and regularity and doing things the same way everywhere so everybody got the same burger the same way has now said, we will create the burger that you want. And they've taken it further. McDonald's have said, not only that, you don't even have to come here anymore. You can lie in bed and wash your body with a rag on a stick. We don't care, we'll bring you the burgers. Not only that, we'll partner with Uber. Seen very much as a bit out there and left field in terms of a transport organisation. We will partner with them and we will bring you the burgers. You can order it on your mobile phone, and don't kid yourself, this is where they're going to end up, because their biggest expense is staff. And when they figure out a way of connecting effectively with you and giving you faster service, saving time, saving money, and still having that customer relationship that they pride, they will do that. Have absolutely no doubt. McDonald's have taught us a lot about sport. I touched on this very briefly. This is what kills sport. The days of warring the days of arguing, fighting and political hostilities between clubs and between sports has to be over. In the old days, a squeaky wheel could pull it off. So there was always one club or one group in the region who had the best connection to the mayor or the best connection to the state government, who could get something done when they really wanted to and had some sort of favourable position because they had someone on the Queensland Committee or the national body. It has to be over. Because the issues are far greater and far bigger than just the petty political. We've got to produce this. We've got to create environments in sport which are genuinely nurturing, caring, and people working together. So how do we go about this? How are we going to turn our industry around? And over the 30 years I've been involved in this, I've never seen such big issues, globally related. So many people concerned about how do we turn this around. I'm going to throw some ideas at you. First of all, if I was running the Queensland government, if I was running a NOOSA council, and you came to me and said, I'm NOOSA Netball, we want our clubhouse, we want our own grounds for our kids, I would put you on the bottom of the pile and you'd get a letter from me in 4 years. I would do very little to help you be selfish and to help you create something for you only that was only for your current members. When I was doing a gig for Rowing New Zealand a few weeks ago, and I said, if I gave $1 million, what would you do? And they said, oh, we buy boats, we buy lots and lots of boats. I said, well, that's not going to grow your sport. It just makes the people doing the sport feel better because they've got better boats. It's just, all you're doing is catering to people who love the sport already, who are already there. It's not going to help you grow and connect. Here's an interesting one I want to share with you. A guy from Yachting New Zealand asked me a question, one of the directors, he said, I've got a serious question about multiculturalism. And I thought, oh, everyone's going, ooh, don't talk about that. But he had a genuine concern. He said, looking at the statistics, 20% of the population of Auckland 10 years from now will be from Asian backgrounds. He said, my concern is, from our data, we believe that many people from Asian backgrounds don't connect very well with water. So what we're seeing is a declining commitment to club-based yachting, plus the population of our major centre is shifting in terms of demographics to not really having any sort of affinity or connection with sailing. How can we turn that around? And what I pulled out of the bucket was this. There's a guy in Brisbane who runs the Chinese Walking Club. Has anyone heard of that? Chinese Walking Club. There is no club. There is no system. It's all done through Facebook, social media. And he says, we're going to meet here this week. I mean, he's got 8,000 people from the Chinese community in Brisbane coming together every week just to walk. Some of the old ones turn up in traditional Chinese clothing and they catch up together and they speak Cantonese, Mandarin, and they catch up while they're walking. And he loves it. And the people love it. And it's growing. So what do you think Athletics Queensland tried to do? You need to become our members. You need to wear our logo. You need to become part of us so we can cover you with our insurance. You need to pay our fees because that's what they want. That's the traditional way of doing it. We're not about places so much, guys, anymore. We're about spaces. Everyone's going, we've got to get them in, 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 count them, because that reflects on our funding. It's about spaces. It's about getting out and connecting with communities and building our sport, our recreation experiences through our communities. Not about just dragging them and counting them. Another experience, a guy I know runs a huge parkour. I know what parkour is. So you saw a little bit on that Australian Ninja Warrior show where they jump over chairs and over cars and off buildings and do all those sort of things. And he's got 200 kids on the Gold Coast in a parkour program. What did Gymnastics Australia try to do? Oh, come into gymnastics. We'll show you how to do it better. The first thing would be, of course, an hour of stretching and core stability work and movement literacy. And the exact reason they're not doing it is because of that. They just want to get out with their mates and run through the park and do stuff. They get it wrong, they get it wrong. And they try harder. And they said to the gymnastic coaches who tried to get them on board, they said, you come to the park, you come to us, you work with us, you help our kids do it better, you help us do what we're already doing more effectively, but we ain't coming to you so that you can count it on your stats. A lot of sports have been very sneaky. Don't be sneaky. A lot of sports changed their definition of membership. Swimming did it, and it was wrong. Swimming said, because we know we've got fewer competitors, let's redefine the definition of membership. So grandma, grandpa come down and watch one game, one meet, and they can join and be casual members, and we'll count them. So we go to the funding agencies and say, we've never been in better shape. What a pile of crap. Athletics Australia tried it the same way, where they were charging people day memberships to do fun runs, so they could do the same thing again. But in terms of their competitors and kids that are actually connecting with clubs for lifelong experiences, didn't do anything for it. Cannot be dishonest about serious problems. So this one, you're talking to John O'Sieben, 1984 Olympic gold medalist up in Townsville the other week. And I saw Jono, and I said, Jono, how's swimming in Townsville going? He said, awful, it's terrible, breaks my heart. Great guy, doesn't speak up much. And I said, what would you do? What do you think the sport's got to do? And he said, mate, the days of North Townsville versus South Townsville versus East Townsville who want to rip each other to shreds and not work, he said, that's over. And he said, not only that, swimming versus water polo is over. Swimming versus surf is over. He said, what I'm going to do is create John Sieben Aquatics. So that if I've got a kid in the pool who says, Jono, I don't want to swim anymore, instead of them being lost to physical activity, is there anything else you'd like? Oh, I really think I'd be interested in triathlon. Let me introduce you to the John Sieben Aquatics Program Triathlon Director. He's over there. So they still stay within the organisation. Another kid says, no, I'm not really interested. I'm into team sport. I want to play water polo. I used to do that with my horse guide. Small joke, shouldn't do it. But this kid just wants to do water polo. So I'd like to introduce you to the John Sieben water polo head coach. And he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to form an aquatics group because I'm sick of losing kids from sport. Because what we've done in the past have said, well, if you can't swim, we don't want to know you. And it's just the wrong way to think now. We just want every Queenslander and every Australian out there being actively involved. Top of the pile, that would go. My netball club that I said I wouldn't fund, if they came in and said, Wayne, we've got a netball club, a basketball club, a volleyball club, an indoor soccer club, an indoor hockey club, and we've all come together and we want a $30 million centre infrastructure project put together. Not only that, we've got a single management group. We've got a single manager. We all come together so we can get some bulk discounts with sporting equipment and other things. And our operational model will be to work together as a team, as partners, so we can grow all our sports and all benefit from it. Top of the pile. And guys, those of you that are running clubs, I'll give you the drum. I've spoken to 8 sports ministers in the last year. That's what they're doing. Whether they announce it publicly or it's not public, that's what they're doing. They are engineering this anyway. I would be looking at ways of growing partnerships. Okay, do it well. Be a professional amateur. One of the things we know, the feedback we get from a lot of sports is this, is they walk in, and one of the reasons people turn away, my kids play football on the Gold Coast, soccer on the Gold Coast. Depends on where you come from. Every year for the last 4 years, we've had to line up for over an hour to pay fees. Straight away I'm going, they've almost lost me because I can do it with AFL in 15 minutes. We don't know who's going to be the coach of the kids' team until the week before because they've never got coaches and they're poorly organised. Just because you don't get paid doesn't mean you can't be professional in attitude. Client-facing experience. Client-facing experience. The Cricket Australia example. The New South Wales Rugby League example. Going to your clients and going to them regularly. Not just sending out forms. Guys, social media changes nothing. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that's about delivering information. It's not about changing people's hearts. How do you change people? How do you actually make a difference to people? How do we do it as human beings? You need to change! You can yell as much as you like through so many outlets of social media and great video and blogs and websites. I think you're wasting your time if change is your goal. Change is the art of inspiring something in the heart through an emotional connection, through getting to know people and getting out and listening to them. And this one. These are global issues, but the solutions are local and the solutions are regional. And the solutions are about you getting out and understanding and connecting with people in your community. Could be private providers, could be council, could be parents, could be schools, could be athletes, could be people just out there doing fitness activities, but getting out and connecting with them and understand. Because they're delivering the product. They're, in the end, they're delivering the product. So I keep coming back to coaches. And to me, this is a vital point. You can have the most brilliant program. Those of you that are part of sport, don't wait for your state association or your national body to come up with some incredibly great idea that's going to change all this, because no one's doing it. It's got to come up to human beings, working with human beings and connecting and changing them one at a time and within groups. I've learned this over the years a lot. Sporting teams will get me to come in, even pro teams, and they get me to come in and they get me to do motivation lectures. And the money is great. Strongly recommended as a career choice. Money is fantastic. To stand up there and yell slogans at them, you know, believe it, you can achieve. Difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra and all that stuff. You can yell slogans that you can get off t-shirts over and over again. Doesn't change anybody, because change doesn't work like that. Change really happens when I go out and I connect with one human being. Why do they call a vision a vision? Because you can see it. And as a leader, and as sports leaders, if you're here tonight, I'm assuming most of you are sports leaders, I've seen a vision for what my sport can be. And I've seen it with such clarity, it's like I can feel it and I can see it right now. And I sit down with you and I share my vision. Great line from the All Blacks. People will believe in a vision providing it's their vision. And we share our vision, and I talk and I inspire and I paint pictures about where we could go and what we could do. And she sees it with such clarity that we then go and have coffee with you. And we share our vision with you. That's the way change really happens. You can't impose it, you can't legislate it. Programs don't do it, you do it. You get out, and with your passion for what you do and your capacity to connect, you are the people that change and then grow sport. I'm a big believer in regional, local solutions for what is a global problem. When I was in New Zealand, I talked about where sport's going. Someone from New Zealand rugby got up and talked about what they're seeing. A guy from Canada got up and said, we're in a mess. And the guy from the IRB, the International Rugby Board, head in the sand, gets up and says, rugby has never been in better shape. The sport's in wonderful shape all over the world. We're going really well because we've just started in Romania. We've got 2 sevens clubs in Romania that play each other all the time. And he went through and he said, we've got a development program in Uganda now. And so one of the key decision makers of the sport worldwide, he said so far in the ground he doesn't see what's really happening. And until he does, they won't change. So don't wait. Don't wait for someone to wave fairy dust and say gymnastics is now all better and things were moving forward. You've got to drive it yourself. Local solutions for global problems. In conclusion, our sport environment, everywhere we go, is not run by professionals. It's run by people like, let's say, Dennis and Deirdre down at the surf club. Dennis and Deirdre need help because they can see on Sunday morning the number of nippers decimated. And it's happening all over Australia, whether surf life saving's admitting or not, they're having significant problems. So Dennis and Deirdre are looking and say, there's no kids coming to surf anymore. What's wrong with the bloody kids? It's the internet's doing it, and it's parents. Parents are soft. Not like in my day, everyone was outside, we were all working hard. And kids today are soft, and it's that bloody internet, and Netflix, and Stan, and Fox, and because they can do that stuff, no one wants to come and do surf. Dumbest thing you do is blame your clients for the failure of your business. You've signed your own death warrant. But then Dennis and Deirdre start thinking, what have we always done when kids haven't come? Let's have a sausage sizzle. So they go through their social media thing. Social media changes nothing or no one. It just informs. They send it out They put on a sausage sizzle. Very inventively, Dennis says, let's have rissoles as well. We've never had rissoles before. And nobody comes. And they're still frustrated. And these people that are running our industry are beautiful people. They are magnificent volunteers who are giving their heart and soul to kids and to people who experience all that's great about sport. And they're hurting. So they said, let's try something else. Dennis's nephew says, well, we'll get a blog going and we'll put some videos in. Somehow they raise $2,000 and they get it running. Changes nothing, nobody comes. And they're getting frustrated. These wonderful people have given their life to sport, to Queensland, and to so many generations, and they're really suffering because they love this. It's who they are. It's more than just a sport to them. And they're completely lost. And then one morning, Sunday morning, after another disappointing turn of nippers, Dennis is down at Kmart and he sees somebody with 3 kids and says to them, how you going? Haven't seen you for a while. Why don't you come anymore to nippers? And they said, because it's boring. Because one kid here in a line of 30 runs from there, gets the stick, and then runs to the back of the line. And they do one thing every 9 minutes. In a world where they're looking at Facebook, while they're watching TV, while they're listening to music, while they're talking to their friends, while they're tweeting, while they're in this multi-faceted, integrated, multimedia, exciting world, and you're doing something once every 9 minutes, and then you go, there's something wrong with the kids. It's their fault they're not coming. What's wrong with them today? No, the problem is ours. And just like McDonald's, guys, your clients, your former clients and your future clients will tell you what they need if you make the effort to listen to them. And in the past, Dennis and Deirdre have had people like me coming in, or development officers, the energizer bunnies of the sports industry, who come in and say, oh, we've got this great program, it's really good, it's wonderful, I just come out of university. And they come in and they go, oh. And they've had people tell them for years and years, it's time to change. And that sport's changing. It's time to offer a client-focused product and be more dynamic and be more exciting and be more entertaining. And they've not listened and they've seen things dwindle. And right now, they're desperate. And right now is when we, as an industry, have got to help them. Those passionate amateurs who are the lifeblood of what we do, we have got to connect with. Because if not, they're going to die. Can you imagine people in rural and regional Australia and people all over Australia whose lives and identity and so much of their childhood has been defined by their connection and experience with sporting clubs, and 10 years from now 50% of them are not there. Think about the clubs that were there when you grew up. The NOOSA Netball Club, Best Sports Athletics Club, Armadale Hockey Club. Think about those clubs and what those coaches and clubs and those experiences have meant to your life, and imagine they're gone forever. The question you have to answer now, and right now, is why will you survive and why will your sport, your club, your organisation, your business survive when so many won't? And the answer's right in front of you. Ask the very people that you're trying to attract and bring into your business, and they will give you the answers if you're prepared to listen. Thank you.